What did you let me let you start, because you're the person experienced in the bar mitzvahs. I will defer to your experience. I loved the MJF cocky, dressed up, smart borscht belt insult comment, pissing all over, Winnipeg, not the screaming mad, red-faced, wanting to kill everybody MJF. I love the smart ass, but what is there significance to the chair and the people spitting him with the chair and I got lost.
Well, that is something we do at bar mitzvahs, yes, and obviously
that is done.
Been to bar mitzvahs, you wouldn't know that.
But I've never been to a Christian mitzvah either. I don't know what they do either.
I don't think they do that.
Birthdays.
I don't think they do that.
I had cake. I don't fucking know.
But let me just say to start, because I've seen a lot of pictures in the last week of MJF's bar mitzvah and different dancers, and people said, wow, look at this. Hey, I had dancers too, and I'm also the only Jewish kid I know of that had a square off with a Nazi wrestler at his bar mitzvah. So I am still the wrestling bar mitzvah champion of all time, period.
No, because you suffered the eternal shame of your parents wanting to do you a favor and not having any concept of who the personalities in wrestling were and weren't, and you ended up with Shitstain.
I've got the best story. Shitstain showed up with a Nazi wrestler at a bar mitzvah. A Jewish kid at a showdown with a Nazi wrestler. I'm the greatest of all time. Let's talk about this segment. There's a lot to talk about here. I will say, early on, I was a little conflicted with it because, and MJF, I think, did a good job and made me feel a little bit more at ease. There's been such a spike in anti-Semitism just recently. I mean, it's never gone away. It's always there, but recently it's gotten bad. So as a Jewish man, I worry sometimes when you have a heel using Judaism possibly as a heat mechanism, because I think that could backfire quick. I mean, they were in Canada. If they were in Alabama or Tennessee, I don't know if this would have gone over the same way. I get
what is the Jewish population of Canada?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's more than probably in the South, if I had to guess. I don't know about Winnipeg versus Toronto or anything, but there's plenty of Jewish people up there. But that was the only thing that gave me
I thought they were all pescatarians in Canada.
But that's the thing that gave me a little bit of pause, was the idea of putting some of that out there, because I think right now it's a little dangerous. Right now, it's not, I don't want him to be a heel because he's Jewish.
Well, no, but let me ask you this then. Did you take it, is it almost like the I don't know, Jewish version of the inside promo where if you know, you know it, if you don't? Is he Archie bunkering this with the, when he say, oh, we're the chosen people, come on. Is that for equal response from the people who are with it and laughing because it's a quick line, but for the people who are anti-Semitic, there you motherfucker? Is it one of those double whammies?
I don't know. See, I think the way he delivered that line actually worked, and that was one of the things that put me
no, that's what I'm saying. Does it work for he's Archie bunkering it and making fun of the prejudice, whatever it may be.
I mean, I got nervous just the idea of using the bar mitzvah as a segment, which I assumed would be a segment that would, I didn't know in advance. It would either have some kind of heat-seeking moment or something would happen there. It does make me nervous. Again, we're at a very interesting time right now in world history and here in America with anti-Semitism. But with that said, I actually was put at ease by it. From what I understand, because I asked around, the people in the ring with MJF were actual members of the Winnipeg Jewish community. So they actually went out and got real people who go to shul, go to the temples, go to the synagogues, and got them involved in it. So I did like that.
Well, see, now you've spoiled it for me, because I thought it was the fucking group of nerds that he used to really hang around with when he was a teenager.
They wouldn't fly. Well, Tony would fly them to Canada. I was about to say they wouldn't fly all those people to Canada.
Yes, money is no object. He's like, I got 8 nerds. Come on, give me 8 nerds from New York.
And I thought that was really cool. And the fact that the room reacted the way they did to the, I guess we'll call it the bar mitzvah celebration, the going in a circle and lifting them up in a chair, which is part of the tradition, that was kind of cool. And The issues I thought I may have, they kind of were put away right away. I thought MJF was fantastic in this. I don't know how much you want me to go into the whole thing right now, just my initial thoughts, or what are you looking for here?
Well, I mean, what are you looking for? I'm looking for you to get off those drugs is what I'm looking to get my fucking calm co-host back. What are you looking for here? Like Kramer when he was on the fucking coffee. Here's as a completely non-religious person and beholden to no particular persuasion either way, my critique of this was that there's people involved in it that didn't need to be, because they had something here and they cluttered it up. As I said, I love MJF, the stuck-up prick MJF, the wisecracking, the I'm better than you and you know it, the fucking quick guy, the, good-looking Don Rickles, however you want to fucking say it. He's in charge of the room. He's got the models. They're kissing him on the cheek. He's making out with one. He's not admitting his shortcomings in life to the people so they can laugh at him, take heat off himself. He's not acting like someone has pushed him to the goddamn brink of insanity so mad, right? Because that's when he loses control and gives it to the people.
This was the best I think we've seen from MJF on the mic and in terms of presence in a while, because he didn't show weakness. And even with the guys in the ring, he didn't let anything go. He would hit them back with lines. There was no running away MJF here.
But he showed weakness in the way he should have, which was when and I'll reveal this before we get into the start of it, when he popped the hat and the glasses off and the fucking black and swollen eyes from that chain match, as they used to say when I got into business. Well, it's good for the business, kid. It's good for people to see that. And that was a place, and when Darby Allin, which we'll get to in a second, hit him with the, geez, Max, you look like shit. That was fucking great. But here's the problem. So MJF comes down. He does the whole bar mitzvah celebration, and he's basically saying, I'm the best, and there's nobody in my caliber, and all of a sudden, Jungle Boy music. And here comes Jungle Boy, and he strolls down looking like Marco Stunt's homeless older brother. And then before anything happens, there's Sammy Guevara music. And he comes down looking like Sammy Guevara. And then Darby Allin music. And here he comes. And did you hear they popped for the other guys. They popped for Jungle Boy. They mixed for Sammy because he's a heel. Darby got the response. And when he came down, he looks like somebody, even though he's the smallest one of the bunch. And one of them got in each corner. MJF's in one, the other three. And he said, oh, God, what do you want? And they all at the same time say, I want a title match, which was cute. But Jungle Boy does his promo. And for him, it was great. But I think the jury is in, and he can't do a money promo with any feeling whatsoever.
He has no feeling in anything he does. I mean, that's the big takeaway. He has a great hairdo, and he's got a great name, but he never shows any passion in anything.
He's reading off the screen in his mind these heartfelt words that he's uttering. It's good material, but he ain't there. It's like listening to one of those animatronic, yes, we will do that. So anyway, he's where he's going to stay. And Sammy, I don't think anybody can argue, is not in his current presentation or the way he's been presented over the last several months in the singles world title picture. They're doing this because that's the four pillars, right?
Yeah.
That Tony and his most intimate circle of nerd fans decided were going to be the four guys that were the future of this company 3 years ago.
Well,
go ahead.
I want to stop. We'll keep going about all of this, but I want to specifically talk about Sammy, because I actually thought, for me, one of the big takeaways here was I thought Darby was great, because Darby has he's an interesting guy, and he has an interesting way of talking. People react to it. Sammy and MJF, to me, was the energy, because we never get to see Sammy like this. Sammy has been, and he basically said it here, a lot of what they were saying, is kind of that line of say what's real, but don't go all the way.
Yeah.
He has been the job guy for the Jericho Association. He has been Jericho's bump guy. And Sammy showed more here than he has in anything he's done in as long as I could remember, because he was on his own and he was confronting another young wrestler. I really like the stuff with Sammy here. And to me, that pointed to how badly Sammy's probably been misused.
That's what I was going to say. Because Sammy did a good job here, but the picture is muddled and all over the page.
Yeah.
Because he's been, and he's did say that, tell the truth. He's been presented as the Jericho job guy and a blah, blah, blah. And he has. But also, Sammy's presentation at the first, the people started loving him because he was a babyface and he did all the high risk, shit. Then they started finding out that he was really kind of a dick and they got mad at him. Well, then because he's got the slappable face, then he was a good heel, but he was in the group where he wasn't the top guy. And then in this promo, he's doing a great babyface promo, even though he's been presented as a shit fucking heel for all this time. But then he remembered in this promo to still say, but you people in Canada still suck, boo, but...
Yeah, that was right after he had basically done a babyface promo there.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Nobody looks at him right now as a serious challenger for the world title because of the way he's been presented. He's been a babyface. He's been a heel. He's been the flunky. The people have liked him, and then they've kind of not liked him because he left his girlfriend, whatever the fuck. And this was a babyface and heel promo at the same time, even though it was a well-recited modern promo about how hard he worked on the indies. We know he can talk when you give him something, and if you could calm him down and he'd take direction, he can work too. So they ought to take this meaning him doing a good promo as to mean we ought to seriously sit down, repackage, and rehabilitate him and start pushing him. And maybe in 6 months, he might deserve to be in the ring with the world champion talking about wanting a title match. It's the problem of the presentation has been all over the fucking page. And that's why I said that there was too many people in this, because the magic they got was Darby Allin, Mr. Monotone, Dr. Dullard, goofy jump over the fucking moon guy, suddenly just jumps up and cuts the best promo on the fucking show.
How great was the line where he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go whine on Twitter.
Yeah.
He was great here.
But no, he laid the whole thing out. He aligned himself with AEW and the fans, made himself one of them, talked about the other guys who just want to whine on Twitter about their push. Well, I'm damn happy to be here, and I want to be here. I dropped out of film school when they wanted me to change my movie, and now I came here because I'm not going to change a goddamn... He's telling them, the fans, everything they want to hear. He's making himself the underdog, one of them.
One of the other things he's doing is he's one of the very few people on the mic on this show recently that's actually putting over AEW. I wanted to be here because they were going to treat me well. Everyone else is, I wish I could have gone somewhere else. I'm going to go somewhere else. With him, it was putting over the company.
But he delivered. He got the people with him, and he had fired up, and he showed emotion. What they ought to have done in hindsight, and I know that it surprised me, Darby Allin did not, it was not on my bingo card or whatever, as they say, to cut the great babyface promo of the show. But they should have, in hindsight, had MJF out there and had Darby be the one to come straight out and just cut to the meat of the matter, because you might have some money there with the way that they interacted, with the way that he got to people behind him. Jungle Boy is blah. Sammy's a heel, and he's not ready anyway. Darby fired up for himself and rose to the occasion here. And that's when MJF had pulled the hat and glasses off and then realized that he had revealed his beat up face and tried to put them back on. And told them all to get the, fuck out of it. Didn't say fuck, obviously, after what he said here in a minute, but tells him get out of his ring so he can have his cake. Thank you. Screw you. Bye. Moxley says fuck indiscriminately. I'm sure he doesn't ask permission. So, but anyway, when he does that, he gets in a fight, and of course he gets knocked down, and then Sammy starts scuffling with, I think it was Jungle Boy, whoever the fuck. But anyway, MJF gets knocked off the apron of the ring, off onto the table, threw his cake on the floor, and ends up with the cake in the face. And that was the perfect way to do that, because yes, you can humiliate the heel. And it was actually accidental the way they did it, so he wasn't like a sucker just having it done to him. But you humiliate the heel in that environment, and that just makes him want to come back and get even. I think that if all the attention had been on Darby, and he'd been the one to put him in the cake, and he'd said exactly what he did, and the other two weren't involved, you would have set up your pay-per-view main event for the next time they have a pay-per-view. I love that. Without the other two.
I mean, there's a lot going on here. And let me just say, I like the segment, and we could talk about just the overall reaction people had to the segment, but I guess, not to disagree with you, although I liked Sammy and MJF almost as much, or probably more than Darby and MJF here. It was intriguing more. These two personalities, what happens if they have a problem? But I think if you're going to do anything with the idea you have these four pillars, which is, again, a company line, it's something they have talked about, but it's probably, right now is probably the time to do something if you're going to. Punk's not back yet. A lot of the main eventers are tied up in trios matches. If there was ever a time to make a concerted effort to try to elevate one of these guys to get to MJF's level, because he's at another level from all of them, right now is probably the time. Now, I thought Darby was good. I thought Sammy was good. Jungle Boy got a big pop. I heard from people in the room that they were really listening to him. But if you listen to him, he's horrible on the mic. Yeah. He comes across as unbelievable and passionless. Like sometimes you wonder why is this guy in wrestling? Does he like it? Like when you listen to him talk. I don't get Jungle Boy at all, or Jungle Man, whatever he is now. But the idea of MJF doing something with Darby is intriguing. They had an excellent match, the best match of the pay-per-view, whatever it was, a year and a half ago, and nothing since. Darby, you want to talk about booking malpractice, look at the way Darby's been used over the last year. You saw the reaction he got there. He is a special performer. You wouldn't know that if you watch week in and week out because he's barely on the show. Sammy has been used horribly, going back to the TNT title with Scorpio Sky, and then back into the Jericho group. If there's a way to do something different with those two guys, Darby and Sammy, right now, and even Jungle Boy, because if you're going to go for it, right now's the time. Right now's the time to do it. I have other thoughts about the segment, but let me hit you with that, see what you think.
Again, I think they should do something with Sammy. I think it's too early to just jump him from, where he's been to boom, I'm in the world title picture. I think there's more middle there. I think Darby's, as you said, underused lately. And if you can control him from paralyzing himself, as we've talked about, what a fucking underdog. And if he can talk like that, if he channeled that and he can do that some more, I think, he's the guy. Jungle Boy, I'm just, bleh. He's a good young middle card baby face if he's got a veteran to lead him and have a match that makes sense. And I'm sure the girls like him, but I don't see him as a top guy because he's got, like you said, it doesn't look like he wants to do. He probably wants to do the moves. He just doesn't want to actually do what everybody that got into wrestling 40 years ago wanted to do, which was fucking tell people off and make money.
I don't buy anything he says on the mic. Nothing ever comes across as genuine. But I wanted to ask you about the overall segment because I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought this is the best MJF thing in a while. I thought we got to see him shine the way he should. The interplay with other people without being a coward or anything. I think this is the best we've seen from, we don't really see Darby that much, but Darby was good here. Sammy was good here. We talked about Jungle Boy. It was something. It started the show. I saw some criticism, and It was along the lines of, this was a WWE show opening. Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think that's a problem? Do you think that's, what do you think
I
when you
swear
hear
to
that?
God, I didn't even know you were going to say that. And I was going to say, at least it wasn't like fucking Raw or SmackDown where we got 5 minutes entrances and boring scripted fucking monologues that could have been delivered whether the other people were in the ring or not. At least everybody was talking to everybody and it got to the fucking points and they had some witty lines and it sounded like them, even if in Jungle Boy's case, him is boring. No, I don't see that like a WWE segment at all because, again, this was 20 minutes, but they kept it moving. Besides MJF can carry the thing and the bar mitzvah and the whole 9 yards. There was falderall there, but when they got to in the ring, everybody moved their part along and MJF jumped in the middle to keep things going. I didn't get bored except with Jungle Boy. And then, like you said, I listened to him as good material, but then everybody else, no, I didn't see it like the WWE because that would have been overly written and overly scripted and overly dramatic and wouldn't have sounded like real people arguing with each other, which this kind of did, especially with Darby.
Yeah, you see, and Darby and MJF were able to go back and forth a little bit. Sammy and MJF, again, I like that energy because that was like, okay, I'm going to hit you with something about you getting engaged to women. I'm going to hit you with something about your fiance leave. There was something there.
You can't go back and forth with Jungle Boy because if you say something to him that you didn't go over in the back, he'll freeze up like he just stared at the fucking Medusa.
But also, what was his argument? His argument was, you think you're such a big star, you don't even appear on Dark and Rampage. Yeah. You do whatever you want around here. And he's like, yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. I am a bigger star than you and everyone else here. It was a weird argument he had.
Well, because, that for boring people, he's representing the boring audience out there, the boring clientele.
All the wrestlers in the back that bust their ass. Tell them to learn how to do a promo and have matches that people care about.
Yeah.